How's it going, everyone? My name is Kasperanza, and in this video, I will be predicting the next president of the United States with astrology and also talking about some more interesting astrological details related to um, the election. I have my notes with me, and I have a few dates that I'm going to go over, but first, let's just talk about the astrology for the actual election between Donald Trump, Donald Trump's chart, and Kamala's chart. Um, let's see here. So, the election is November 5th. Oops, that's the year. The election is November 5th. And on November 5th, there will be an opposition between Jupiter and Venus. And the moon will also be conjunct Venus. So you can think of the moon as kind of like highlighting this aspect. The moon, no matter what day or what time, the moon usually shows us like this is the aspect that's important right now. Usually, not always, but usually that's the case. So we should be looking at Jupiter and Venus for November 5th. So let's look at their charts. So again, Jupiter is at Gemini at 20 degrees and it's already gone retrograde. And the moon will be at 26 degrees of Sagittarius and Venus will be at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. And if we look at Donald Trump and Kamala's chart, they have really great placements for this transit because Donald Trump has his sun at 22 degrees and his moon at 21 degrees, if I can read that correctly. So Jupiter and Venus are activating his sun and his moon. And it's even more powerful because the sun is the ruler of his chart. So whenever his sun is being touched, that has a huge impact. And on top of it, his north node is conjunct his sun, and Uranus is conjunct his north node and his sun. And you could even argue that Jupiter is closer to his north node than his sun. But the point is, Trump was born on an eclipse because he was born on a full moon eclipse because the moon is exactly opposite the sun and the north node is conjunct his sun. So Trump has this kind of transformational portal energy where he opens up new time transitions, like time periods. And so with this aspect of Jupiter opposite Venus, right, where on November 5th, Jupiter will be at 20 degrees of Gemini. It's going to conjunct his sun and his north node. And the north node is, or you could say Rahu. I like saying Rahu, actually. Rahu is like, it's what we're trying to get to. It's our compulsive and obsessive smokes and mirrors. It's like this really crazy, intense part of the chart. And then of course, with Venus conjunct the moon, it's just highlighting a very important part of Trump's chart, almost to an exact degree. It's so, especially with the moon conjuncting his moon. So this looks very good for Donald Trump winning the presidency. Let's go to Kamala's chart. So Kamala has her ascendant and her Rahu at 24 degrees of Gemini. So they're both Geminis. Kamala is a rising Gemini. Donald Trump is a sun Gemini. But they're both Geminis. And this makes a lot of sense because Jupiter is traversing through Gemini right now, which means all of the Geminis are getting lucky. This is their time. This is their moment. This is their year. So they better do what they can to take advantage of the opportunities that they have. Especially if you are a Gemini. Jupiter is going to go retrograde in a few days because as I'm recording this, it is October 9th. So if we go back to October... Oh, Jupiter just barely went retrograde today. So you should, wherever Gemini is in your chart, so just on the side note, wherever Gemini is in your chart, you're getting handed an opportunity. So take it, whatever opportunity you had, you just got it. And now Jupiter is going retrograde, which basically means you're going to have to rethink this opportunity. Like you're going to have to, right? It's going to happen and you're going to reflect on it over the next coming months. So again, Kamala has her ascendant and her north node very close to Jupiter. And then if I believe she also has her part of fortune at 24 degrees. So the fact that Kamala and Donald Trump are both running against each other makes a lot of sense because they're both Geminis. Geminis are getting lucky right now. It's their time to shine. But here's the thing. I think Donald Trump is going to win because his placements are much closer. They're much more sensitive and much more exact. Kamala's going to put up a good fight because to have your ascendant and Rahu conjunct Jupiter and then to have your descendant conjunct Venus as a transit is very, very good. But I don't think it's not going to have enough juice. I mean, the fact that she's even running for president and is standing up to Donald Trump, that's her opportunity. That's her good fortune. But I think Trump is ultimately going to win the presidency. Even if you put astrology aside, I still, like, from my own political analysis, Donald Trump is going to be the next president. I don't think it's going to be Kamala, but astrology is also confirming that Donald Trump is going to win. Again, they're both going to put up a good fight. Kamala's going to put up a good fight, but she's ultimately going to lose, especially because someone left a comment on my last video saying that Donald Trump was running a Jupiter-Venus dasha. And this is Vedic astrology, and I don't know much about Vedic astrology, but your dasha kind of shows you the planets that are important right now. So if Donald Trump is running a Jupiter-Venus dasha, and he's going to receive beneficial aspects from Jupiter and Venus, it seems to confirm that he's going to be the next president. Right? So, but that also says something else about his election, and I'll talk about that later in the video. But I also feel like another way to really get a good idea of who's going to be the next president is to look at the vice presidents. And if you look at Tim Walz's chart, he only has his Venus in Gemini, but it's at 2 degrees. So he doesn't really have anything going on right now. I mean, Mars is going to be probably conjunct his Rahu eventually. I mean, it might actually, if we go back to November 5th, yeah, I mean, Mars will be kind of close to his Rahu, but that's not really good. It's not good because Mars is generally a malefic planet. So nothing about his chart stands out. But then again, we don't know his time of birth. So he could very well have his ascendant at 20 degrees or his midheaven at 20 degrees. But it's not going to be good enough, in my opinion, if he did. So yeah, there's nothing about that. But then we can look at J.D. Vance, who is the vice president of Donald Trump, right? Because Tim Walz is the vice president of Kamala if she were to become president. And what's really interesting about J.D. Vance is that his ascendant is also conjunct Regulus, just like Donald Trump. It's so funny and interesting to me, right? Because I feel like one of the reasons why Donald Trump is so successful and why he's such a prominent figure is because his ascendant, if we go to his chart, is exactly conjunct Regulus, along with Mars making a conjunction. So he has kind of like a royalty about him. He has this natural ability to be a leader, even if he's a terrible leader or a bad president. He's just meant to be in a leadership position. And so I feel like JD Vance has a very similar kind of royalty about him, like Donald Trump, where he's kind of just meant to be a leader. So that's more of a confirmation that I think Donald Trump is going to be president. Um, let's see. Also, JD Vance has his Rahu in Gemini as well. Now, it's not nearly as close to the 20 degrees of Gemini, where, right, on the election day. But the fact that his Rahu is in Gemini as well, and then he also has his midheaven at 22 degrees, almost conjunct Algol. So I see Donald Trump and JD Vance very much connected in a lot of ways. They have very similar charts, because they both have the same ascendant. Their ascendant is conjunct Regulus. They both have Rahu and Gemini. So I think I think they're connected and they're gonna win. So that's what I think. And then another person I want to talk about is Elon Musk, because Elon Musk has been getting very close with Donald Trump lately. And this is so interesting. I don't know what it is. I'm just like fascinated with fixed stars. I think they're like the most exciting thing in astrology. And if you look at Elon Musk, he has his ascendant and Mercury conjunct the fixed star Sirius. So Regulus is like the royal fixed star. Sirius is I don't know if I would say it's like a royal fixed star, but it's a very, very powerful fixed star. It's like up there with Regulus. So if you have placements conjunct this fixed star, especially your ascendant, you're gonna be famous, you're gonna have a lot of prominence, you're gonna have a lot of leadership. And the fact that Elon Musk is backing up Donald Trump, the fact that Elon Musk is siding with Donald Trump, I mean, we have two very powerful people coming together. And I don't see anyone backing up Kamala, really, or at least in the public eye. I don't really see anything like that. So, again, Elon Musk has his ascendant and Mercury conjunct Sirius. The United States has its sun conjunct Sirius, which means I think Elon Musk has a lot to do with the American spirit. He's very attached to the American spirit in a lot of ways, especially because he's an entrepreneur and a businessman, and so I think Elon Musk is going to play a very big role similar to Donald Trump, and to see them together, especially because if you remember, they had that interview a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago, but just a few months ago. I made this prediction in my last video. I said that Donald Trump was going to give some kind of speech, a really great speech, around August 15th. In fact, that's one of my dates. Yeah, August 13th. So let's go to August 13th. Let's see, just gotta. Okay, yeah, August 13th. Um, was it August 13th or August 12th? I can't remember, but the point is, or was it August 14th? Whatever it was somewhere around that day. I remember I predicted that Donald Trump was going to give some kind of speech, he was going to give some kind of motivational thing. And that was the day or around there when Elon Musk interviewed Donald Trump. And if you look, Mercury was exactly conjunct Regulus and Donald Trump's ascendant. So, and also Mercury was retrograde. And if I remember, their interview had a glitch, like it was glitching out, right? Because it was Mercury retrograde. That's just what happens. Like communication gets, there's obstacles in communication. So I just thought that was really interesting. But to see both of them communicate, especially when Mars and Jupiter were making a conjunction on another fixed star, Rigel. I mean, and I think Elon Musk said he was going to back up Donald Trump with, like, there was that thing, like, he was going to give him, like, $40 million or a month or something crazy like that. Elon Musk does that all the time, where he says he's going to do something and then he doesn't do it. But anyway, it's just kind of cool to see two very powerful people talking to each other, and to kind of I don't know, it's just interesting because, again, going back to Elon Musk's chart, he has, he has Mercury conjunct. He has this very powerful chart, just like Donald Trump. Very powerful chart. And just on a side note with Elon Musk, he has his Mars conjunct Rahu in Aquarius. And again, Rahu is what you're trying to get to, it's what you're obsessive about. And so if you have Rahu conjunct your Mars, sometimes astrology can be so literal that it's funny. But like, Elon Musk is trying to get to Mars. Literally, he's literally trying to get to Mars. He's trying to get humanity onto the planet Mars. And Aquarius is all about science, technology, and humanity. So I love that about Elon Musk's chart. It's so funny and so interesting. So, but the fact that Elon Musk is in favor of Donald Trump, in alignment with Donald Trump, I think Donald Trump is going to win even more because Elon Musk on his own has a lot of prominent placements. A year from August, from August 13th when they had that interview, a year later, Venus and Jupiter are going to come together on the fixed star Regulus. So August 12th, 2025, which means next year in August, something is going to happen with Elon Musk that is going to be very beneficial, revolutionary, but it's very interesting to see both of these planets come together on the fixed star Sirius. So this is going to be very influential on Elon Musk, but also it's going to have a huge impact on the country. Yeah, next year something like that could happen. Something serious could happen. So, and it will involve Elon Musk probably because it's very prominent in his own chart. So anyway, I think Donald Trump is definitely going to win the presidency. All right, what's some other things that we need to talk about and discuss? We need to, let's see. There was that assassination on Trump. There was the second assassination. I'd like to talk about that a little bit. Now there's not really much to talk about, and I didn't predict it because there was nothing there astrologically. It wasn't really that significant. I believe it happened September 15th. And if you go to September 15th, there's nothing really... Oh, oops, that's 2025. There's nothing really that stands out. The only thing that stands out is that Chiron is at 22 degrees. The sun is at 23. We're kind of getting a bunch of planets at 22 degrees. So let's see. So Chiron is at 22. The sun is at 22. Yeah, I just feel like I didn't predict a second assassination because there was no reason to. It really wasn't even really an assassination at all. Like, Trump didn't even get shot. Like, the person didn't even get that close to him. So that wasn't really relevant. But it is kind of interesting because, just to go back to Donald Trump's first assassination, one of the key things that I learned was that there were a lot of planets at 22 degrees. Because it happened on the... Did it happen I believe it happened the 13th, right? So... And that makes a lot of sense because the sun was at 22 degrees, the moon was at 22 degrees, Chiron was at 23 degrees. Algol was kind of being activated with Mars conjunct Uranus. And again, Uranus is on Algol still. And I think that explains a lot of the Israeli and Palestinian conflict with Uranus on Algol, because Algol is a very violent fixed star. But if Donald Trump were to be assassinated for a third time, I don't think it's going to happen, so don't expect any kind of assassination. But, we see a lot of 22-degree planets happen in October a few days from now. So right now it's October 9th. On October 13th, we're going to get more of this kind of 22. I mean, it's a little bit spooky. So because Jupiter will be close to 22 degrees, Mars will be at almost 22. I mean, there will just be 22 degrees um, from like October 13th to October 16th. Because, um, so on October 11th, Venus will be at 22 degrees of Scorpio. And then a few days later, the Sun will be at 22 degrees of Libra. And then the next day, Mars will be at 22 degrees of Cancer. Jupiter is almost at 22 degrees of Gemini. It's going retrograde. Um, and then on top of that, on the 15th, Venus will make an opposition to Uranus, which is exactly conjunct the fixed star Algol. So I feel like something violent is going to happen that day. I don't know if it's really going to happen to Donald Trump, and I don't even know, but I'm not really even sure about this prediction. So, I mean, and just saying, oh, things are going to be violent, that's not even a real prediction. That doesn't really mean anything. But I'm just saying, to have all of these planets at 22 degrees, it's kind of something to watch out for, to be careful of. The next thing that we need to talk about is that, and I forgot to mention this, but like, Jupiter is going retrograde today, October 9th, which means that, well, it stations October 9th, which means that if Jupiter wasn't going to go retrograde, it would have kept moving forward and would have made contact with Kamala's ascendant and Rahu, right? With her ascendant and Rahu at 24 degrees of Gemini, but it doesn't. Jupiter stops at 21 degrees of Gemini and stays conjunct with Donald Trump's Sun in Gemini. So again, it's like Jupiter's like, I don't really want to help Kamala. I want to help Donald Trump. I want to give my good fortune to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is meant to win the presidency. So I feel like that's what that retrograde is saying. But the other thing is that Donald Trump's sentencing, so remember when he got convicted for those 34 counts, his sentencing has been continuously delayed and delayed and delayed. And so he's finally going to get his sentencing after the election on November 26th. So by now, Donald Trump will be the next president. But I feel like when Donald Trump gets sentenced, I think what could happen is that he's going to be put on house arrest or some kind of probation, or he might actually go to prison. Even though he won the presidency, I feel like he's going to be... And the reason why I say this is because, well, first of all, Uranus is going retrograde, and it's going to be exactly conjunct his midheaven again by the time he gets his sentencing. And again, Algol is this nasty fixed star. It's a fixed star that kind of brings negative things, and Uranus kind of flips the table on things and changes your trajectory. So even though Donald Trump is going to win the presidency, I think he's going to be put on some kind of house arrest. And the reason why is because, again, that person left that comment in Vedic astrology how Donald Trump is running the dasha of Jupiter and Venus, which means his Venus is going to be activated and his Jupiter is going to be activated. And even though Venus is a benefic planet, Venus is in his 12th house. And the 12th house is the house of isolation, hospitals, prisons. And then on top of that, Mars is going to be entering his 12th house. It's going to transit his 12th house so Mars is going to go retrograde in December, but it's going to go back. It's going to go back into his 12th house. And it's going to kind of hover around his Venus. It's going to go over his Venus-Saturn conjunction in Cancer. So if you look, he has Venus and Saturn conjunction in the 12th house in Cancer. I know it says 11 right there, but I go by whole sign house system. I don't use Placidus. So it's in his 12th house technically. Um, that's just what I think. Maybe it's different, but I depending on the astrologer you are. But I think what to me this suggests that I think he's gonna be put in prison or something. Or it's gonna be some kind of a loss, right? Like he's gonna win the presidency because the 12th house is the house of loss too. It's the house of being in prison, but it's also the house of loss. So I think he's going to lose something, and I think it's gonna have to do with after his election or when he gets his sentencing, especially with Mars retrograde in his 12th house. The 12th house is also the house of secret enemies, it's the house of hidden enemies. So Donald Trump is going to be dealing with people that are his enemies that he didn't know were enemies. Or so I just feel like something is going to happen where he wins, but something sneaky is going to be involved, like something like suspicious, because I just feel like the 12th house is like, I don't know, it's yeah. So like for the next couple of months in 2025, Mars will be in his 12th house. So I just feel like he's going to be kind of in house arrest or something for that period of time, especially because Mars is a very physical planet. Um, right until April when things move on. Um, and that's interesting because in April of 2025, Mars will be in Leo. Jupiter will get back into its original position of being at 21 degrees of Gemini. And I feel like that's when maybe his sentencing is over, when he doesn't have to deal with it anymore. So, um, yeah. So that's what I have to say about that. And then January 20th is the inauguration day. Um, so let's go to January 20th. I don't know if there was there something that I wanted to say about. Oh yeah, Mars will be exactly conjunct, um, his Venus and Saturn in the 12th house. Um, right, Mars will be transiting that because it will be at 24 degrees of Cancer, and Trump's Venus and Saturn is at 25, 23. So I feel like Donald Trump will, um, it's like he won't be there on inauguration day or something, or like he'll become the president, but he'll lose something on that day, like it, right? Because that's the day you become president, right? So like he's going to be the president, but he's going to lose it in some way, like it's going to get taken away from him or something. So I don't know if that's a good prediction, but like I'm just saying, like Mars right there in his 12th house is just, it just seems to suggest that like it's going to get taken away from him and it'll just create so much chaos. And then yeah. So that's everything that I have to say for Donald Trump's presidency. Um and let's see. Yeah, that's all I have to say on it. He's gonna win, but I feel like even though he wins the presidency, he's gonna lose something. He might lose the presidency at the same time, if that makes any sense. Like he's gonna win. He's definitely going to win, but some kind of loss is gonna happen too. And that's it.